All right, so the scores for a certain test of intelligence are normally distributed with a mean of 85, standard deviation of 17. Find the 80th percentile of these scores. Okay, so recognize we're handed a mean and we are handed a standard deviation. So I'm going to write those down. And I'm going to use common statistical notation. So the mean is represented with this Greek letter mu, and mu is equal to the mean, which in this case our mean is 85. Sigma, another Greek letter, is the standard deviation. And we're told the standard deviation is 17. All right, so, and we need to find the 80th percentile. Find the 80th percentile. Okay, so to lay this out, what the hell is going on here? So here's our normal distribution. Think of it like we all took a test and the average on the test was an 85. Okay, so an 85, who knows what it was out of? Maybe it was out of 1,000. Who knows? We just know the average is 85. So here you're at the average, and we want to know if you are to land in the 80th percentile, what exam score would you need to do so? So the distinction between percentiles and percentages, well, if you're exactly average, that means you're in the 50th percentile. Why? Well, if you're at the average, here you are, smack dab in the middle of the distribution, and you're in the 50th percentile because your score is greater than 50% of that, or 50% of all other scores. So if you are in the 80th percentile, that means you're somewhere over here. So you're somewhere in between 0 and 1 standard deviations, and you did better than 80% of the other tests. So recognize percentage and percentile are commonly conflated. So percentile says essentially what percent of people you did better than. So if you're in the 90th percentile, that means you did better than 90% of all other people. So here's the 90th percentile. You'll see the 90th percentile is just over 1 standard deviation, and that's because 90% of your curve will sit to the left. Similarly, again, if you're in the 10th percentile, that's approximately just over 1 standard deviation to the left. Here's my 10th percentile, and you're just over 1 standard deviation to the left, so that means you'd be somewhere in here, so 10% of your data would sit to the left. So when you're trying to think of how to conceptualize a percentile, recognize if you're in the 70th percentile, you did better than 70% of the people, loosely speaking. All right, so we're after finding the 80th percentile. So, and this is how you should think about this statistics stuff, is if they, if you are to find the 80th percentile, we need the z-score for the 80th percentile. So why do you need the z-score? Well, we're trying to find the 80th percentile, which is here, and we need to know exactly how many standard deviations that is away from the average. So recognize if they hand you a percentile, you need to find the z-score. If they hand you a z-score, you have to find the percentile. Okay, so we'll dig into this one a little deeper on the next video. So I'll see you on the next one.